Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on this pendant and necklace, and this is using some of the beads from my most recent collaboration with Eureka Crystal Beads called Underground Cavern. But as usual, you do not need to have all the collection to do this. You can actually purchase the beads separately or, check your stash and make it in whatever colors you love. So here's the pendant and the chain. The previous video we made these earrings, and then we also of course have this bracelet that's going to be coming up with all these bezels. So I'm going to clear this off, we'll get a materials list going, and we'll get started. Let's get a materials list going. So everything you need for this pendant right here and necklace is in the collection. So if you have the collection, you have everything you need. I'll link the collection in the description box below the video, as well as the beads separately in case you want to take a look at those. So we need 8mm pearls, 2 colors of mini gem duos, 2 colors of 3x2mm rondelles. I've got this toggle clasp. The jump rings are my own from my stash. 3mm fire polish, 4mm bicone. Now you have a whole mix of these colors in the collection, and I had no trouble separating out the number of colors I needed, but I think you can mix them up and it'd be beautiful. I've got this gorgeous crystal oval bead. Isn't that pretty? I love these. These are Krakowski crystals, so you'll need some of those. 11/0 seed bead, delica, and a 15/0 stop bead. You'll need some 6-pound Fireline black satin, or 8-pound. I think you could use 8-pound here, which I forgot to put out. And you'll need, I would just keep a number of needles handy. 10 and 11 would probably work. So I think that's about it. So please don't forget to check the description box below the video for all sizes, color, shapes, everything you need, amounts that you need will be listed there. Any coupon codes I have, any special offers, I will put in the description box. So I think that's it. So let's get started. So thread your needle with about 5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and leave enough of a tail to sew in. So I picked up and dropped down to my tail thread a mini gem duo and 2 11/0s, and I just did that 4 times. Now I'm going to sew those into a circle by just sewing up through the first bead after my stop bead, which is the mini, like so. And I'm just going to keep going all the way around to reinforce. So just sew all the way around. That's what it looks like. So I've come all the way around. I passed my stop bead a little bit just to sort of, complete the circle. I'm exiting one of the mini gem duos, the bottom hole. I'm just going to sew through the top hole of that same bead. So just like that. Okay, next up, I'm going to pick up one of my mini gem duos, so the silver one, and I want that with the rounded side up, so the right side up. Then I have the other color, and I've done this one so it's upside down, so the flat side is facing up, and then another one with the right side facing up. And I'm going to sew through the next mini gem duo. That's going to place those just like that. So I'll have these two silver ones are right side up, and then this one's upside down, but eventually we're going to push it over so that side will show. So you're just going to repeat that step all the way around. Put my last group of gem duos on, so I pick them up. I have the 2 right side up ones, the upside down in the middle, and then the right side up. And I'm going to sew through the next mini gem duo, and I'm just going to go all the way around at this point and reinforce. So I've come around, I've reinforced everything, and I'm exiting the bottom hole of the sort of upside down mini gem duo. So you see here the 4 that will be pushed over like this, so the front shows. So I'm exiting the bottom hole of this one. I'm just going to sew through the top hole of that same mini gem duo. So this is where you'll be exiting, right up here. Okay, so I'm exiting the top hole of one of the mini gem duos that are going to be, of the 4 that are going to be pushed in like that. So I've picked up my pearl. I'm going to drop that down right in the middle, like so. Get situated, here we go. So I'm exiting here. I've come through the pearl. I'm going to go to the mini gem duo that's on the other side, and I'm going to sew through the hole on the same side of this mini gem duo. So through here, through the pearl, and through this mini gem duo right there. So I've come through the top hole of this mini gem duo. Now I'm going to sew back down through the purl, like that. And I'm going to sew through the other side of the mini gem duo that we started with. So I'll be exiting right there. So you have a thread coming here, out of here, going through the purl, through the top of this mini gem duo, back through the purl, back through this one, and out here. Next up, I'm going to pick up a Delica, my 3mm fire polish and a Delica. I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next mini. Do that again. Delica, 3mm fire polish and a Delica. I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next one. So you're going to do that 2 more times and then reinforce a couple of times around. Now this purl is not going to fall out because it's sewn in, but just get a little thread in there to, snug it up a little bit. Okay, so I've reinforced a couple of times. You can go around 3 times. We do have to get back into these fire polish beads, but they're pretty large holes in those. I'm not really worried about that. So right now, I've done my reinforcing. I've come through the top hole of the mini gem duo. I'm going to sew through the bottom hole of this mini gem duo, on through the next one, so the bottom hole of this one. Just want to get to the outside again, and then through the top hole of that bead, so I can put more beads on. And at this point, you can also get rid of that tail thread by sewing it in. And for those of you who want a little primer on a 1/2 inch knot, so once I'm exiting this gem duo, I'm just going to slip my needle under, make a loop. My thread's a little short. Pull it, okay. Come through the loop. Make sure that your thread is in between the 2 beads. Grab the loop and pull, and then I'm just going to sew through a couple more beads. I've already done this, so I'm getting a little tight here, but that's about how you're going to put your 1/2 inch knots on, so you can get rid of that thread, and then we'll continue on the front. Okay, this is what it looks like so far. So we're exiting the top hole of a mini gem duo, the outside mini gem duos. I'm going to pick up a mini gem duo, so I'm switching colors, a 15-0 and a mini gem duo. I'm going to sew through the next mini gem duo. I'm just going to do that all the way around. Mini gem duo, 15-0, mini gem duo, through the next one. Just like that. So just keep doing that all the way around. Gem duo, 15-0 gem duo. I'm going to sew through the top hole of that silver one and on through the bottom hole of that first one I put on. And you can reinforce this 1 time all the way around. Okay, so I've reinforced everything, and I want you to be exiting one of the outside mini gem duos. So if you look at this group here, you have a mini gem duo, 15-0 mini gem duo here, but I want it to be like correspond with the 4 that we have around the purl. So you're only going to be working like just the reference point is going to be opposite this one. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle and a 15-0. I'm exiting here. Remember, I'm opposite one of the 4 that are kind of sitting up here. So exiting here, I'm going to sew through this fire polish bead right here. I'll leave that for a second so you can kind of see where we're going. Okay, so I'm going to put those on like that. And then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, another rondelle, and a 15-0. And this time, you want to sew through this mini gem duo, so the one that's after the silver one. So instead of, before when we referenced it, it was you went through the last one of this group. Now you're going through the first one, so that's on the side of this mini gem duo right there. So that's what it looks like. So see how it goes on kind of diagonally. Okay, so we are exiting this mini gem duo. We have this little grouping on here. Now I'm just going to move my thread. I'm going to sew through the next 15-0 and mini gem duo. If you notice where we are, we're right back to an area where we have the mini gem duo opposite the bezel mini gem duo. So we're going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle and a 15-0, and we're going to sew through the next fire polish. And then we're going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle, and a 15-0, and we're going to sew through this mini gem duo. So the one that's right after the silver one in there, or the first of the next group. And that's going to add the next embellishment on. So you see how we're slanted here and here, sort of an angle here and here, and then you're just going to repeat. You're going to go through, move your thread through the next 15-0 and mini gem duo. Come on, you. There we go. Like that. I'll do it one more time together. So now you're exiting here. You're going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle, and a 15-0. You're going to sew through the fire polish. Like so. Then you're going to pick up a 15-0, a rondelle, and a 15-0. And you're going to sew through this mini gem duo. So you whirl on the bottom holes here. Like that. So you have your next group on, and then you're just going to repeat. You're going to move your thread here, put on your beads, and so on, until you have this last fire polish bead embellished. Okay, coming down to my last 15-0, rondelle 15-0, exiting the fire polish. I'm going to sew through this mini gem duo. Like so. So now I have all my embellishment on. I'm going to advance through that next 15-0 and mini gem duo. Change your needle size here if you need to. So go to a 12. Okay, so I'm exiting this mini gem duo. Now I'm just going to bend it over a little bit, and I'm going to sew right through that silver one. So we're going to do a little connection here too. So right through the silver one, the top hole of that silver one, like that. Next up, I'm going to pick up a delica, one of my 4mm bicones and a delica. I'm exiting this silver one. I want to hop over to the next silver one, and you're going to have to kind of dig your needle in there. See if you can push that other one down to get it through. So that's on like so. And then I'm just going to advance my needle through the next mini gem duo, 15-0 and mini gem duo, like that. So I'm moving over to the next silver one. So here's the silver one in here. I'm just going to sew through the top hole. Now if your thread just wants to go through, or your needle wants to go through the back, that's fine. Just go through let it come out that way, and then just give it a little, pull towards the front, and you'll be exiting the front of that mini gem duo. So we'll do that one more time. Pick up a delica, a 4mm bicone and a delica. Exiting here, I'm just going to hop over to the next one. I'm just going to let my needle go where it wants to go. So it's going through the top hole, but it's coming out sort of the back. And then I'm just going to go like that. So I'm exiting the next top hole of the next the mini gem duo in there, and then you're just going to keep, you're going to do that 2 more times to add the last 2 bicones. I'll just do this a little bit with you. We're exiting this top hole of this mini gem duo, the silver one, so we're going to sew through the next mini gem duo, 15-0 mini gem duo. Change your needle size anytime, like that. and then right on through the silver one. I'm just going to pull my thread in the front. Delica, bicone delica. To the next one. Get your needle in there. Ouch, like so. It's coming through the back. And just bring it up to the front. Move your needle through the next mini gem duo, 15 mini gem duo, and the silver one. You got it. Bring it to the front, and you're just going to do that one more time till you have all 4 of those bicones on. Okay, I'm putting on my last Delica bicone delica, sewing through that silver mini gem duo, just like that. So now I have all 4 on. I'm just going to sew through the next mini gem duo, 15 mini gem duo, like that. I'm exiting the bottom hole of a mini gem duo. I'm just going to sew through the top hole, like so. So this is where you'll be exiting. Okay, we're going to do a little bit more embellishing. So I'm exiting the top hole of one of the mini gem duos on the outside. And if you notice, we've got a mini gem duo, a 15 and a mini gem duo here. So when you have that sequence, you're going to pick up a bicone and you're going to sew through the next mini gem duo. And then when you have the 2 mini gem duos with this, that's the silver mini gem duo. See, in between them, you're going to put a rondelle. Pick up a bicone, put on a bicone, and then a rondelle. So you're just going to alternate that all the way around. On my original sample, I put a 15 bicone, 15. You can do that. It will just make it a little bumpy, but I kind of, I did another sample and I kind of liked it without it. So it's up to you. You can really embellish any way that you like, as long as the bead just fits in there nicely. So I'm just do this all the way around. Coming down to my last bead, and it's going to be the rondelle. So I'm going to sew through like so. And then I'm just going to advance a little bit. Don't think you need to reinforce all the way around. You could if you want. I would pull it in a little bit just so they sit nicely. So it's a little bit of a curve. So I'm exiting the bicone. I'm just going to advance my needle a little bit till I'm coming out of one of the rondelles. So like so. Like I said, if you want to reinforce, you can. If you want to add another bead in here, just make sure it's going to fit. You can. It's up to you. I'm just going to stop at this point. So we're exiting a rondelle. So I'm exiting a rondelle. I actually did go around and reinforce around the edge. I mean, sometimes I overdo it, and but I just thought, because it's, it's pretty big, you want to make sure that you can reinforce one time around if that if you feel it's necessary. So I'm turning it on the back and I'm exiting this rondelle. I just want to do a little bit of beading on the back, just to give it a little bit of more structure, even though it's pretty. I think it's pretty good, but let's go do this anyway. So I'm exiting here. I'm going to pick up, so this rondelle, I'm going to pick up 4 of my 11/0s. And I'm going to sew through, make sure I'm right here, I'm going to sew through the top hole of this mini gem duo. That's like the 4 that we originally put on, like that. And then I'm going to pick up 4 more of my 11/0s, and I'm going to sew through the next rondelle. So that's going to give me a little bit of structure right there. And then I'm going to advance my needle until I get to the next rondelle. And at any point you need to, again, change your needle size. You can do that. I think I'm still on my size 11 beading needle, and I'm doing okay, but a 12 would be even easier. So 4 of my 11/0 exiting the rondelle. I'm going to sew through the top hole of this mini gem duo. I'm going to pick up 4 of my 11/0 and I'm going to sew through the top hole of this rondelle like that. And you can just, move your thread to your next one and do the same thing. So this is what it'll look like on the back. Okay, so get that done. And then you can, at that point, clip off, sew this thread and clip it off, because we've used this one thread a lot and I don't want to use, and it's starting to get thin, so I don't want to use this thread to add any bail on or any necklace or anything like that. So we'll continue after we've sewn in the threads. All right, so get that done, come back and we'll move on. Get our necklace going. So you're going to thread your needle with a long enough thread so that you have one side of your necklace coming out this way and one side coming out that way. So I'm going to turn it on the back and I'm going to sew through 4 of the 11/0 that are on the side of a rondelle, like that. And you want to make sure there's a length coming out here. So, because that's going to be one end. I'm going to sew through the top hole of this mini gem duo, like that. And you can adjust the thread after you get it through. And then I'm going to sew through these 4. So it's sort of that V. And then what you want to do here is just, even out your threads so that you have an even amount of thread on either side so you can, start your necklace. So I have my threads even on either side. I'm exiting the 4 11/0 here. I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and I'm going to sew through this rondelle right here, but from the outside in. So like that. I'm just holding my thumb on the rest of them. And then I'm going to take that bead and push it next to the others. And it's just going to sort of sit over here like that. And then you want to do the same thing for the other side. So just picking up my other needle and thread. You can have a needle on each end. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through this rondelle from the outside in. And I'm going to push it in with my thumb, and that locks it into place, and so everything is nice and secure now. So now you can just turn it over and we're going to start our beading. Okay, let's start beading this chain. So with one needle I've picked up 3 of my 11/0, and with the other one I picked up 4 11/0, a rondelle, an 11/0, and I picked up the blue oval crystal. So just like that. So I picked up the needle that had the 3 11/0, and I've sewn through that 4th 11/0 from the other side, the rondelle, the 11/0, and the crystal. I'm going to pull that through. That's what it looks like. Okay, so now you're just going to, everything you do to one side, you'll do to the other side. So both your threads are exiting the crystal right here. So all I did here was I added, and you can add on any sequence you like. I did an 11/0, the rondelle 11/0, and then the green crystal 11/0, rondelle 11/0. So that's that first sequence, and then a pearl. So that would be the first sequence. And then I did an 11/0, the other color, so the turquoise rondelle 11/0, the blue crystal 11/0, turquoise 11/0, and the rondelle. And then I would repeat the green sequence and do the same exact thing for the other side, ending with one of your crystals. So if you're doing it my way, I think you'll end up with a green crystal, and then we'll add the clasp. So I ended up using just about all my crystals, the oval crystals, and it came out to about a 18 to 20 inch necklace. That's, this part, not the drop. All right, so get that done, come back, and we'll put on the clasp. Get one end of the clasp on. So you're exiting your crystal. So you're going to add 3 11/0, a rondelle. You're going to come through the clasp. Now I'm not using the same clasp that's in the collection because I used that already and something else. So the toggle bar and the ring in the collection, their ring faces upward. So just put a jump ring on right there. And, that way you can sew through in this direction. So 3 11/0, the rondelle, come through the ring, rondelle, 2 11/0s. Then I'm going to sew through that 1 11/0 above the crystal and come out the crystal. I'm going to pull that tight, and you want that ring, so remember you'll have a jump ring on yours. You want that ring to sit right in between the 2 rondelles. You want to make sure everything is nice and snug, and I'm good. Then I'm going to pick up an 11/0, and you're going to sew, so you're exiting the bottom of the crystal. I'm going to sew through this 11/0 and back up the crystal. And don't worry, we'll straighten that out in a little bit. I just want to lock it into place. And then you want to sew through this 11/0, and then all your beads again, making sure that ring stays in between the rondelles, like that, coming all the way around. Down the crystal again. Like that. So I'm exiting the crystal, sew through that bead you put on, like that, and then down through this rondelle. Make sure you can still see me. Like that. The next 11/0 in the purl. So that's just going to straighten that out. Do you see what that does? It straightens so that those 2 beads are next to each other. They're going to lock everything into place. Because if you just come down and you don't add that bead and you just do knots, eventually they're going to loosen up. And, then it's going to, thread will start to show. But this locks it into place. So at this point you can add some half-hitch knots. You can, actually add a half-hitch knot after the purl, and a few more, and there you go. There, one end of your clasp is on, and you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Those of you who need a little bit of a refresher on a half-hitch knot, so I've put a few in already, but let's say you want to put one here between this rondelle and this 11/0. So I'm coming at the rondelle. I'm just going to slip my needle under. You want to make sure it's going to go in between that rondelle, the 2 beads that you want the knot to go. I'm just going to make a loop and come through the loop. Make sure that loop, you see that, is going in between the rondelle and the 11/0, because if it doesn't, you're going to knot a bead and it's not going to look good. So you give that a pull, and there's your knot, and then you just want to sew through the next bead to pull that knot in. And there you go, that's your half-hitch knot. All right, so get that done, come back, and we'll finish back. And here are our beauties, and I think they're so pretty. The only difference between this one and this one is that I used the darker blue bicones around the edge. So depending on the colors you use, it kind of looks different, doesn't it? All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you make it and post it on Facebook. I want to thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye-bye.